Hello, everyone. Good morning, or good afternoon, whatever time of day it is where you are. I am really excited to talk to you today for this podcast episode because it is something that, one, I'm in the middle of right now. Um, I am doing a reset that my body has been waiting for the last few months. I've been traveling, I've been vacationing, I've been with family celebrating. So, with all of that, let's just say my nutrition and my diet, my healthy habits may not have been up to par. I've eaten a lot of cake, I've had some wine. Okay, I did go to like 5 wine tastings while we were away. So, a little bit of wine. And it's time for me to kind of get back on track. And what I'm talking about today is fast mimicking diet and why this type of fasting is important for us in menopause versus a regular water fast. Now, if that's something you do, more power to you. I do hope you visit with a doctor who is monitoring you because there are lots of things that can kind of go wrong when we're fasting for extended period of time. If it's for a day, probably no big deal. 2 days, probably no big deal. But more than that, there are other things that could be going on within your body that you need to talk to your doctor about. So I want to talk about basically what no one warns us about as we get older, as we start going through midlife and menopause, right? One day you woke up and this wonderful body that you have been living in forever, the one that's carried you through everything, the one you thought you knew inside and out, just absolutely just stops cooperating, right? Slowly, gradually. But one day you just kind of go, huh, this isn't working anymore, right? Things just stop working. And you don't necessarily notice the small changes, but this things like your scale starts to climb. Even though you are eating less than you used to, right? Or you haven't changed anything. You're exhausted, even though you've had a full night's sleep, except you're not sleeping through the night anymore because you wake up drenched in sweat at 2 o'clock in the morning. You can fall back to sleep. And at 3 a.m., you wake back up and go, okay, I'm going to just be singing stupid songs in my head, staring at the ceiling, counting sheep, or whatever you try to do to go back to sleep, right? You wake up, your brain is foggy. Okay, brain fog. My friend Lauren calls it brain pause, and I love that. So if you ever hear me say brain pause, I'm thinking of my friend Lauren. But all some of the other things that are going on, your joints ache. When did your knee start bothering you? Right? For me, the worst part is when my clothes don't fit. At some point, I went, hold on a minute. What's going on? I exercise, I eat right, except for those times when I've been on vacation. Um, and everyone around me or around you, your doctors, your friends, Dr. Google, keep saying stupid things that we've heard forever that just don't work anymore. Eat less, move more. I was talking to my hygienist yesterday, and she's probably in her mid 60s to later, probably in her mid 60s. And obviously, she needs to lose some weight. So she went to the doctor for her annual checkup. And the nurse who she actually saw, who I guess she saw the nurse first, who she said was twice as heavy as I am, looked at me straight in the face and said, well, you need to lose weight. And that was it, end of story. So, one, the hygienist kind of looked at her like, really, you're telling me this? Do you know how? Obviously not, right? But we've been told this so many times. You go to the doctor, you're a few pounds overweight, 20 pounds overweight. They're like, you need to lose weight. But they don't give you any idea how to do that. So what do? We go back to okay, I got to work out harder. I have to eat less. And these are things that, maybe, you've been trying for a while, right? How many times have you tried a diet? You said, you know what, I'm going to lose this 5 pounds. I'm going to go on a diet. And you do the diet. Maybe it works, because diets are meant for a short term. Um, Maybe you lose that 5 pounds and then you gain it back 3 weeks later, a month later, right? This is what is really important. You're not failing in this life, this health thing, right? Your body's not broken. And certainly you're not kind of crazy thinking these things are happening just to you. What is happening is your basically the biological rules that you have been playing with for your entire adult life changed. Nobody told you about this, right? Um, Not only did they not tell you, they didn't warn you, they're still not talking about it. Maybe they're whispering to each other, like, oh, something's going on here with me, or to themselves, not to each other. Nobody tells us about this. Talk a lot about, when we're younger, what it's like when we're going to get our first menstrual cycle. And when you're having a baby, they go through all of that. But once that period of time in your life is over, you're shit out of luck. You're on your own, basically. That's what I'm here for. So essentially, your metabolism is shifting. Your hormones are up and down. Your cells are beginning to operate in a different way. So obviously, the strategies that you used in the past that got you through your 20s and 30s, even into your 40s, they just don't work anymore. Maybe they never really did, right? Not that you're not doing anything wrong, you're not doing anything wrong. It's just this game that we're playing. Life is a game, right? My husband always says school is a game, but I think life is a game, right? We have to, kind of keep learning, what the game is and playing with the rules, right? So, but this is a new game. The menopause transition is new. Like it's not something we've ever experienced before. So today I'm going to show you a little bit about the game that's changed and how to win it. So this is what to do. For the past 17 years, I have been managing perimenopause and menopause and now postmenopausal symptoms. Um, the symptoms are one thing, how it makes me feel, weight gain, weight loss, um, hair loss, my eyebrows. Yes, that's really a thing, everyone. Yes, you do lose the hair in your eyebrows. Silly things like itchy ears. Who knew? I mean, that doesn't even make any sense to me, still to this day. Achy joints. I never had achy knees. I get an achy knee every now and then, and I'm thinking, where did that come from? Right? These are changes that kind of catch us off guard, right? It's really not a dramatic thing. It's like no announcement like, hey, this is going to happen to you. This is what we're going to feel like tomorrow, right? And then one day you realize, again, this playbook is just different. It doesn't work anymore. It's like, when you see the football players, they have their little iPads or whatever they use now. Sorry, I'm not sure which type of tablet they use. But you see them, looking at their the plays on the tablet. And it's kind of like, well, whatever they've been doing, the other team has figured it out. So it's not going to work anymore. Right. So it's kind of the same thing. Well, similar thing. No one's actually going to come and tackle you. Right. So calories is the first thing we think we want to do when we want to lose weight or feel healthier again. Right. Um, but what happens here, your body holds on to weight even tighter at this stage in life. Um, So then the other thought we go to is we go to the gym, we work out harder, and then we go on Monday. Like, yes, we're going to go 3 days a week. But you get there, and Tuesday morning, you wake up and you're exhausted, and everything hurts, and you're thinking, what the heck? You're not sleeping. Your brain feels like it's wrapped in like cheesecloth. Like that's kind of how I feel. It's like this brain fog, kind of like you can't see through the fog, right? I don't know where I get the idea of the cheesecloth, maybe because I love to cook. But I think the worst part, and this is something when clients come to me, they're like, "Denise, I'm just tired of people telling me the same thing. Eat less, move more. You need more willpower. You're not trying enough." And many women have heard this from their doctors, from the nurse practitioners, sometimes even from their spouses. Women and men age differently. Well, duh, we're different. Um, and sometimes that struggle that we have, especially if we've struggled with weight, um, and really what we're looking at here is not weight loss, but fat loss. That's really what we need to get rid of. Obviously, we jump on the scale and we look at the number and that's our weight. But really what we want to do is we want to lose the fat that our body is holding on to, right? Um, your body is changing. Fundamentally, it is changing, right? What's happening? We know our estrogen is dropping. And when that does, our metabolism slows down, right? We start to notice the belly fat. Like we never had it, but all of a sudden there's that little tire there, right? Cortisol levels skyrocket. Cortisol is our stress hormone. The more cortisol we have, the more our body is actually holding on to fat. It also affects things like our sleep. Um, and then progesterone is also declining. Now, progesterone actually starts to decline when we're in our mid 30s. So a lot of women at 30, say 35, 36, 37. I was 37 when I started to notice things were happening and pretty severely. But I had no idea. Nobody said to me, oh, by the way, progesterone is going to start declining in your mid 30s, even though you're still really young. And it's going to affect your sleep. It's going to affect your mood. It's going to affect your relationship with your husband if you don't watch out. My freaking God, really? Why don't people talk about that? Well, we are. Um, Another thing that's really stressful for us is our insulin resistance increases. That means it's harder for our body, excuse me, to actually release or use the food that we're eating as energy. Instead, it stores it as fat, which of course is not what we want. We want to get rid of the fat. But everything that our body is doing right now is saying, hold on to it, hold on to it. And we're going, no, 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 we need to release it, right? So underneath all of those things, yes, hormones are such a big part of it. That's on the cellular level, things shift. And this is another thing nobody talks about. Your cells are actually less efficient in this stage in life. They're getting older, right? They need to rejuvenate. But think of it like this. You know how your phone starts to slow down after a few years? No matter how much, how good you treat it, after a few years, the battery just kind of starts to not work as well, right? You have to plug it in a lot more. The apps take a lot longer to load. As I said, the battery drains. It's not broken, right? Just something is not quite right. It needs some kind of attention, but you don't really know what that is necessarily. It's what's happening in your body right now. And this is where things get interesting. Okay. You have probably heard about fasting, may have done fasting. But this is a conversation about fasting and why it can be complicated for us in midlife going through the menopause transition, right? Intermittent fasting is the buzz, right? Everybody is talking about it. People talk about it like ad nauseum at this point, right? What that is time restricted eating. And it's like you pick a window, you eat from, say, 12 o'clock to 7 o'clock at night, and that's the only time you eat. So you're fasting from the time you have your last meal at, say, 7 o'clock until 12 o'clock the next day, where you have your first meal, and then you only eat within that short period of time. So it's not really breakfast when you first wake up, when you first get up, and lunch at midday, maybe a snack at 3, and then dinner at 6 or 7. It's everything kind of happening in those times, within that time frame. It has lots of promises about weight loss and longevity. depending on where you are in the menopause transition. And I've tried intermittent fasting myself. It doesn't work for me because I'm a morning workout person. I can't work out and not have a little bit of energy before I work out. So a little bit of carb before I work out, and then protein after a workout. I can't just do a workout and wait until noon. I don't feel well. My workouts are not as robust. And what I find is recovery is a lot harder. All of that actually is happening, not just because of the fasting, but also because that's what's happening during menopause, right? It does slow down how we recover, how our workouts are. So yes, there are tons of studies that say intermittent fasting has great results when it comes to longevity, right? It can help with weight loss, right, over period of time. It claims for better insulin sensitivity, which counters that menopause related diabetes. So that's not something we're really going to talk about today, but there is a thing as women get into menopause and we start gaining the weight, especially the belly fat around our middle, that visceral fat. Diabetes, pre-diabetes and diabetes, actually, we're more at a risk for that. Intermittent fasting also talks about reducing inflammation, which is really essential in this time of life, especially inflammation is something, chronic inflammation we know is the cause of so many diseases today. But also it claims to, not claims, the research study shows that it may lower cholesterol and blood pressure, right? It can also repair cells through autophagy. There's a word for us today. Sounds great, right? Those are the things that we're looking for, right? But here's what that doesn't actually say. For women in menopause, aggressive fasting can actually backfire. Yes, say that again. For women in menopause, through the menopause transition, right? Perimenopause, that menopause year, and even right after, like a couple of years after menopause, that post-menopause, this can backfire on you hard. And think about this. You're already dealing with hot flashes where you're waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, or you're not sleeping, not just because of the hot flashes, but you wake up and then you just can't go back to sleep. You start singing stupid songs in your head. You start just counting, you're trying to get back to sleep, right? Then your energy, that's unpredictable. If you're not sleeping, you're certainly not going to have tons of energy the next day and be your old regular self, right? Um, your body's already stressed, right? And when you add aggressive fasting on top of that, your hot flashes get worse. Who needs that? Especially if your blood sugar dips near bedtime. And that's where a lot of people will kind of like want to snack at bedtime, right? Your cortisol can spike, creating more stress, more fatigue, and more anxiety. Just what we're looking for. You also lose muscle and bone density faster because you're not getting enough protein and calcium. Some people will say, well, sure, I am. If you're tracking it, then maybe you are. But how many people are actually tracking it accurately and on a consistent basis? I don't know. So what ends up happening is you can end up with nutrition or nutrient deficiencies, right? And here's the deal. I mean, I'm not against fasting. I've done, a couple, when I was younger, I've done some fasts, and I do something really interesting, what we're going to talk about in a minute. But I'm really careful about how we approach these for midlife women. Now, I have a friend who did a 10-day water fast, which I still have no idea how she did this. However, she was at a facility that monitored her heart rate, her blood sugar, all of the things. So she wasn't doing it alone at home by herself, right? So she knows that, for her body, it was something that she wanted to do once a year or once every couple of years, and more power to her. I thought, to me, she's the strongest woman on the planet because it's not something that I could do or that I'm interested in doing. Right. But again, for women in midlife, we have to really be careful about the approach to fasting. Right. Because think about it, you're already tired. you're already dealing with the hot flashes and the weight gain and the sleep issues. The last thing you need is another extreme stress on your body to actually make you feel worse. I know this is supposed to make us feel better, but if it makes us feel worse, what are we accomplishing? Right? So this is where I get excited. This is where we enters the fast mimicking diet, which is a totally different approach, right? It's really different, and I find it really interesting. So I am currently on day 3 of a fast mimic diet or program. Let's call it a fast mimicking program. Um, it's again a 5-day program, and Dr. Walther with a V, not a W. He is one of the world's leading longevity researchers, right? We talked about how intermittent fasting is supposed to be great for longevity. This guy, he's one of the longevity guys, and he developed this fast mimicking diet. Right? I like to call it fast mimicking program because I don't like the word diet. Um, you know, when we think diet, we just think, I got to be on a diet. The beautiful thing is this is a short, it's just for a short stint. Um, it is specifically designed to give you the benefits of the fasting, those that we talked about, without the risk of starvation, right? I mean, if I was on day 3 of a water fast, I would be an absolute lunatic right now. And my husband would have to seriously lock me in the bedroom because I would want to eat everything in the house. Watch out. So here's how this works, right? It's a 5-day protocol. Um, I do it maybe once a year, maybe twice. I don't find it's necessary because it's just it's a tool, right? In coaching, it's one of the things, like it's a tool that I use. I don't use it for everybody. I don't find everybody, all of my clients are candidates for this. There is a bit of a mindset piece around it too. So again, this is something you do once or twice a year, maybe once every couple of years, maybe. I think I actually went 2 years without doing one. Um, just because I got busy, right? We all get busy in our lives. And there, I just didn't have a 5-day that really made sense. So again, this is only 5 days. So 5 days out of a year, you can 5 days, right? I know I just did. I'm on day 3. So it's not an everyday thing like intermittent fasting would be. 1,100 calories to start. Even today's a tough day because today it drops from 1,100 to 800 calories per day. But I want to say that, because you're all going, 800 calories, that's nothing. If you were on a water fast, you would have 0 calories, right? So what this does, is plant-based, it's high in healthy fat, lower in protein, because right now we're trying to rejuvenate cells, right? So think nuts, vegetables, soups, herbal teas. They do have this really yummy cocoa crisp bar. It's only about this big, so it's only, if you take it slow, it's about 4 bites. If you eat it, you could probably eat it in a bite. But they're actually very tasty. And then you go back to eating normally, just normal, healthy, nutritious diet. Okay, not on day you do day 5 and like day 6 you have like pizza and donuts and beer. No, okay, that's not exactly what the goal is. But the goal is at that point to go back to eating your regular healthy diet. The thing about the 800 calories, right? This is short term, it's structured. And this is the important piece. It's actually designed to be, it's designed to trigger specific biological processes without putting your body under chronic stress. If you haven't eaten in 3 days, your body is getting stressed. Your cortisol level is skyrocketing. You're already not sleeping, and now you're adding more stress to your life, and that's causing you to not sleep even more, right? And holding on to weight, fat. So what this does is it actually the research on fast mimicking program shows that it triggers fat burning. Okay, and here's that word again, autophagy, which is cellular cleanup, right? It's getting rid of, it's kind of like recycling the old stuff to allow the new healthy cells to thrive, right? It promotes stem cell regulation. That is interesting because, we know there's a lot of stem cell research where they're thinking that this may be kind of one of the new, um, well, not so new. I mean, they're doing stem cell transplants and using stem cells in the medical field to help people that have different um, illnesses, diseases, those kinds of things. So stem cell regeneration is really an important piece. It lowers IGF-1. Now, it's linked to cancer, but what IGF is a inflammation marker, an inflammatory marker. And if your body is high in IGF, you're high in inflammation. When you're high in inflammation, you have a higher risk of disease, cancer, like I just mentioned. And often IGF is something that my husband Mark talks about quite often, because if he has a patient with high IGF, that means there's inflammation in their. He's a kidney transplant surgeon, so it could be it could be in the kidney, it could be in the body, and that's not a good thing, right? We want to lower inflammation, and also improves our metabolic markers, right? And metabolism being how our body takes food and energy and makes it into energy. So it improves those, right? It also helps us with digestion. And again, because it's only 5 days, it doesn't trigger chronic cortisol spike like that diet fast can, right? You're still maintaining your blood sugar. You're still eating enough calories so your body's not freaking out going, oh my God, we're starving. We've got no food. What do? We hold on to fat. We don't do that with fast mimicking diet. So a couple of days go through. Okay, so if you are following me on Facebook and Instagram, I've been doing I've done a live, I'm doing live just 5 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes each day to talk about each phase of the program. But I'll just give you a quick synopsis here. First day is a transition, right? 1100 calories. This is where our body starts to shift from using the food that we've just eaten and tap into stored energy and tapping into our stored energy. Okay. Kind of, I love this. Kind of like switching from a gas to an electric hybrid car, right? We're just kind of changing things up here. You might feel a little hungry. I don't typically on that first day. I probably eat only about 13 or 1400 calories on a regular day. So 1100 is not that big a difference. It's definitely manageable, and your energy is starting to calibrate. Easy for me to say. Day 2, fat burning kicks in. That's 800 calories. Okay. Yesterday was 800 calories as well. So now this is where your body is actually using fat as fuel as opposed to carbohydrates, right? And ketones start to rise. We've heard a lot about ketones, right? If we want to get into ketones, help us get into ketosis, and it helps us to burn fat as energy as opposed to carbohydrates. So this is where the metabolic. I can't talk today. I'm so sorry, guys. Where the metabolic shift becomes real. Okay, we're burning what we're storing, right? That visceral fat in our belly, where we definitely want to burn that, right? One, because it doesn't look very good, but two, that is the fat that is unhealthy for us. So day 3 is deep cleaning, autophagy. There's a word again. And so this is kind of where the magic happens. So today's magic day for me. Basically what's happening is it's kind of like your body's internal housekeeping system, right? It goes through and identifies what cells are damaged, gets rid of those. Old proteins that are just kind of hanging around, not doing anything, we get rid of those. other inefficient components in our system, and any kind of cellular debris, as they say. There's a lot of stuff going on inside our body, in our cells, that unless you took science and biology, it can be a little overwhelming. So if you're interested and need a little bit more information about some of the things that I'm talking about, please let me know and I will get that information to you. So basically, all of those things in autophagy, you're breaking them down and recycling them, getting rid of them. Periodic fasting triggers stem cell regeneration and promotes cellular rejuvenation. This is something that Dr. Longo describes as one of the more important parts of the 5-day fast mimic. The most important thing for us to know is our body's not breaking down, right? We're not we're not breaking down muscle or bone or any of that stuff, right? It's just clearing out. It's kind of like spring cleaning, right? So you can, revamp your home, your home, the one that you live in, your body, right? So today is an interesting day for me because it is day 3 and I'm talking to you on day 3. Tomorrow is about running clearer, right? System is operating more efficiently. My body is responding better. And a lot of people who've done this, a lot of women tell me that when they feel this unexpected mental clarity, like that brain fog, right? This is probably the day that it kind of happens, right? Because, even why is that? Mental clarity. Like, oh, no, I'm thinking of something completely different. This is when it actually reverses. So if you have brain fog, brain pause, that's when it starts to clear up a bit. And it's like, oh, thinking better. I don't have this foggy feeling all the time. Sorry, I totally confused myself there. Well, and then finally, day 5 is renewal mode, right? Your body is prepared to refeed with real food, and to rebuild itself. And here's what's powerful is when your body's rebuilding after this kind of reset, it actually can create a stronger, more efficient cells than you ever had before. So that's why I like to do this like once a year. So, okay, so what's the research, excuse me, on this and menopause? Most of the fasting research out there is, as I mentioned, on intermittent fasting, not specifically the 5-day. But here's what we do know. And a lot of this is by Dr. Walter Longo. And I had this book here until yesterday, but I just mailed it to a friend of mine. So studies on postmenopausal women doing alternate day fasting, which is similar in intensity, okay, right, showed about 12% body weight loss. Okay, we're looking fat loss there, right? Research on fasting in general for women shows that 4 to 8 pounds over 8 to 12 weeks, that targets the visceral fat, which is around your organs. Improved insulin sensitivity, blood sugar control, which counters that menopause-related diabetes risk. Yay, that's a good thing. Reduces inflammation. Remember that IGF-1 that I mentioned? It helps lower cholesterol, LDL cholesterol, our bad cholesterol. It helps us with better blood pressure. It helps with cellular repair through that word, autophagy, which may help ease some of the menopausal symptoms. It's not a yes, definitely, but it is a yes, probably. And we also know, this is important, we also know the risks. Hot flashes and sleeps can get worse initially, right? Especially during fasting when blood sugar drops. Muscle and bone loss can accelerate if you're not careful with protein and calcium. That can happen during a regular fast. Cortisol can spike. We don't want that. Nutrition deficiencies are a real concern. Again, this is with traditional fasting. So here's my take after doing it myself several is 3, try like 5 times. And helping other people go through this. 5-day fast mimicking approach has some real advantages over daily intermittent fasting. Now, the intermittent fasting people are going to freak out on me. I know that. We all have our philosophies. This is what I know based on my research for myself, the clients, and the people that I know that have done 5-day fast mimic diet, reading Dr. Walter Longo's book, and being part of a community that talks about the research and plant-based nutrition, right? I am not 100% plant-based. I always want to remind people that, but it is something that I understand where a plant-forward diet is important for our health and longevity. So anyway, so with fast mimicking, the advantages truly are, one, it's not every day. So there's no chronic stress. It's structured and supported. You get specific nutrients. You're not just skipping meals. You're actually getting food. Here's actually one of my bars. This is my breakfast bar. And my tea, different tea, but it's what that's my breakfast today, right? Short term, 5 days, and then you go back to eating normal. So if you start on Sunday, guess what? On Friday, you can have a date night, right? Now you may not want to go out and have lasagna and a lot of bread and a bottle of wine, right? You may not feel good with that much food, but truly you can go back to eating like a normal meal. And it targets deep cellular processes without that daily stress, right? And it's not for everyone. I totally believe that. It needs to be done with thought. It needs to be thoughtful. If there's other people in the house, who's, is your spouse doing it with you? Are you doing it alone? Have you spoken to a doctor? What is your health today? So these are things that are really important. So who is this for and who it's not really? It's a good fit for you if you're already eating relatively well, but not seeing a result, right? You're dealing with that stubborn belly fat and maybe some insulin resistance. You're looking for just a periodic reset without the restriction and stress of a complete fast. And you're willing to do it under supervision to track your symptoms. Now, again, that supervision is you are working with a coach or someone who is trained in this protocol. Obviously, I am. And you're not underweight or have uncontrolled diabetes. Those are two things that this is definitely not for. Wait, I'm saying this wrong. You are not underweight. So that's somebody who, if you're not underweight and you have uncontrolled diabetes, I said that totally wrong. So if you have a healthy weight and if you have diabetes and it's under control, I should probably say that a little bit more clearly, right? This is not for you if you're already underweight or if you have a history of an eating disorder, right? Again, if you have uncontrolled diabetes, this is something that you would want to talk to your doctor about and work with your doctor. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical professional, so that's not something that we would do. If you're on certain medications that require food, not for you, right? Or if you're really under extreme stress and dealing with adrenal issues, probably not the time to do this, right? But here's what I tell my clients. If you try this, definitely track symptoms, right? Week before, track your hot flashes, your sleep, your energy, your mood, and then track before and like during and after. Because if, your hot flashes get worse, your sleep tanks, and you're feeling like garbage, that's your body telling you that this is not the right approach for you, right? Our body is smarter than we are, right? So what I really want you to hear and take away from this is fast mimicking protocol is a tool. It's not the whole toolbox, right? Because you know what else matters just as much, if not more than yourself, right? We know strength training is essential to protect your muscles and bones, protein intake, especially after fasting, right? You need to rebuild. We need to continue to control our stress because we don't want our cortisol levels to rise again, right? Sleep, important. Movement that feels good. during this is something like I mentioned, I'm probably not going to do for the next couple of days a weight workout, just not the time to do it. But it's great for walking, it's great for yoga, all those things. Nothing punishing. This is kind of why with my clients, I don't like the one size fits all approach. Even in my group program, everybody gets something a little different. So, because you're juggling work and parents and family, you're exhausted, all of these things. The last thing you want is a rigid protocol, which, in my opinion, intermittent fasting is for me. So, if those are the things that you're dealing with, this probably is not for you. What you do need, though, is a strategy that works with you, not against you. And that's where I come in, right? As the menopause mentor, I've coached hundreds of women, and here's what I know. There is no magic pill, not fasting, not keto, not a single diet or protocol. What works is understanding your body, your symptoms, and your life. So for some women, this 5-day fast mimic reset is exactly what their body wants and needs. It gives them a metabolic shift, that cellular cleanup, and the cleanse, that cleanse of control, right, as opposed to not being in control. Others, it's too much. Their bodies need more gentle support, better sleep, whatever it may be. And that's okay. Because the goal isn't to follow a trend, though we do that, right? The goal is to feel like yourself again, to have energy, to sleep, to look in the mirror and recognize and like the woman that you see back. So remember this, your body isn't broken. It's responsive, it's intelligent, it's adaptive, right? It's adapting to this new phase in your life, but it responds to the signals that you give it. You can keep doing more of what's not working, more restriction, more pushing, more effort, or you can try a different approach, one that's based on working with your body instead of against it. So if this sounds like that you're somebody who is tired of all of the stuff that's out there, you've tried everything, please click the link in the show notes and take the link will go to the menopause hormone clarity tool. And what that does, it will show you what is going on in your body with your hormones. And with those hormones, we can then take the next step and find that plan that works for you. So, okay, that's all that I have for you today. It was a little bit more than I expected, but if you are still listening and you liked what you heard today, please share this with someone you love who this may help. And please don't hesitate to subscribe so you get a message every time there is a new podcast. Thanks so much, everyone. I'm Denise Stegall. I'm the Menopause Mentor. Have a great day. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Healthy Living, Happy Midlife. My hope is that today's conversation left you inspired, encouraged, and ready to take the next step toward creating a vibrant, fulfilling life that you deserve. Remember, you don't have to settle for fatigue, brain fog, or frustration. Midlife is not the end of your story. It's the doorway to your next best chapter. And I'm here to help you walk through it with energy, with confidence, and with joy. So if you're ready to take this journey further, I invite you to schedule a free strategy call with me. The link is in the show notes. And together we'll design a plan that works for you at this time in your life, for your body. So be sure to subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast platform. Catch the video version on YouTube so you never miss another episode. Share it with a friend who needs to hear that midlife can truly be the most powerful season of her life. Until next time, I'm Denise Stegall, reminding you that healthy living, happy midlife is not just possible, it's yours for the